Hey friends, I'm at the Musky shop, and it's that time of the year where you're in the spring and most people are walleye fishing and bass fishing and doing a little pan fishing, and some of you guys that are in the Muskies are trying to catch muskies, and you got cold water and sometimes the muskies aren't real active. Well, I got a couple things a couple tips for you on early season muskies that might really help you on if you're going to go after these fish in particular. And it's just a simple thing. It's real simple. The first thing when you're looking for early season muskies, the first thing to look for is warm water. Now, I'm not saying that all the muskies in the system are in the warmest spot on the lake, but what I am saying is that when you find warm water, the muskies that are there are most active. So find warm water. Another thing that can be very effective this time of the year is current. If you're in a flowage or river system where there's current, find those current spots. Go upstream from where the current is. Go to the most upstream part of the flowage or the river system, where if there's a dam, something, a barrier of some kind, start there. You're going to find both warm water, then you're going to find current. Okay, you'll find early season muskies jam up in spots like that. So those are two things absolutely key. Now, moving further, okay, if you find warm water or current or both, and then add bait fish to the mix. If you visually see bait fish, you're on muskies. You're on muskies. So those things right there, without going any further, those are your key things to being where the most active muskies are. Once you find that situation, spend time throwing a lot of different lures at them. But more often than not, what you're going to find works is initially fish those spots. You might be very isolated and very compact, especially in a river or a current dam situation where you don't have a lot of areas to fish. So you can fish a lot of lures in a confined spot. And when you find that, the first thing you do is always search it out with a high speed or a fast straight retrieve lure like a spinner. Early in the season, when I'm talking spinners and inline spinners as well as spinner baits, use them both. One of the things I do really well on this time of the year is a bass spinner bait or an oversized bass spinner bait, with small musky spinner baits like our smaller Slopmaster spinner baits. The single hook thing is great for shoreline brush, bulrushes, real shallow weeds, any kind of cover you want a single hook bait. As you move off of those spots and you're just fanning over cleaner water, either submerged cover of any kind or rocks or weeds or breaks in the current, the original inline spinner that's so popular, including the Bucher tails and the small Bucher tails and all these great little inline spinners, and then going down below that into like the bass pike categories, the MEP spinners and the Abu reflexes and all those smaller spinners that you almost throw on bass bait casting or spinning gear can be really deadly on muskies this time of the year. Super deadly. And another bait to be thrown this time of the year is a lipless crankbait, lipless rattling sinking crankbait. Like our JB Rattle, the 3 and 4 inch size lipless crankbaits can be deadly on those spots. And then finally, if none of that works, or if you're getting follows and short strikes, then always follow those spots up. Always follow those follows up with a jerkbait of some kind. This time of the year, don't be afraid to fish the 3 and 4 inch class jerkbaits, which are just really nothing more than oversized bass lures. Our 5 inch shallow raider, perfect bait to be thrown this time of the year. Baits of that size class, all my friends that make all these great baits that you see here at the Musky shop, all these guys make great stuff. And it's all application, it's all tools. It's a screwdriver and a pliers and a hammer and everything else are all tools. But this time of the year, more often than not, the big bait doesn't work. But I wanted to finish this off with, try the big bait, okay? If there's a real big girl sitting in a current spot, for example, where you got warm water and this fish is confined into a small area or a warm baked, sun-baked protected spot, late in the afternoon, a big fish will still lunch down a 15 to 18 inch walleye. It'll still grab a pike or grab a crappie. So you throw out a big jerkbait on a spot like that, you'd be surprised that big fish will take, even early in the season, will take a big jerkbait, a big fish. A big fish will take a big jerkbait. Really, I know 2 anglers that fish the Wisconsin River system this time of the year with the glide raider. That's all they fish. And they just stand below the dam and throw a glide raider out, just in the current, and crank a couple times, and just letting that glide bait go back and forth in the current. They're not bringing it forward much. And they stick a couple of really big ones every spring doing that. Those same guys, by the way, are catching those fish, a lot more of those fish on rattling crankbaits like the JB Rattler. So, just to summarize it, current, warm water first, current if you can find it. Those are key, okay? And when you find those, one last tip in the summary. Late in the day is generally better because what happens by late in the day, the water has a chance to warm. So you're going to get a solar bite. You're going to have a solar baking situation that happens late in the day, and the water temperature might be in the low 50s, for example, in the morning, especially if you got cold nights, which you get a lot up here this time, even in the 30s. And that 50-degree water is going to have sluggish fish. The fish will be there, but they'll be sluggish and inactive. But by late in the day, that 50-degree water might be low 60s or more. And now, one of the dead giveaways, by the way, is you'll see minnows on the surface. You'll see crappies with their backs just below the surface and brush piles. When you start seeing that kind of stuff, there's probably a muskie nearby. Throw a musky lure in there, you might catch one. Hey, check out the Musky Shop, muskyshop.com, for more information and for the bait selection we just talked about.